Our extinguished main fresh ice cream from Norfolk that will be sorbet after the speeches because we're going to be a short while speaking. But, or if anybody else would like some photos, I guess now's the time to do it. Next leader of UKIP, so I hope you'll all support her in that. Thank you very much. What I'd just like to say is that we've you know, the biggest problem in organising this barbecue was we had so many people who wanted to come, we had to turn them away. The thing filled up in a couple of weeks. We started off thinking in Gloucestershire we'll fill 100, 150, and frankly we could have filled well over 200, but it would have made the pub too crowded, the service too slow. It would have been a silly thing to have done. So the fundamental thing is, we've got the best candidate in the leadership election for our party is here, and we're very privileged to have her come here to Gloucester. And I'd just like to say a couple of other things. I think that's, yeah. What's very, very interesting, I think, is that the next door constituency to here in the Cotswolds, which is a big Tory majority constituency, the local MP in the Cotswolds, Geoffrey Clifton Brown, had a barbecue planned in his constituency at his manor house earlier on this summer, and he had to cancel that for lack of attendance. And here we are today, so-called party that's finished after Brexit vote and all the rest of it, and no hopers and what you do in UKIP, why you're still here. We get that in Gloucester all the time. We are here, we're here to stay, we're going to take on the Tories, we're going to take on Labour, we're going to fight, and we're going to win elections. We've got by-election in Gloucester with a very young candidate coming up in October, and the county council elections next year. We're going to win in Stroud, we're going to win in Gloucester, we're going to win in the Forest of Dean, and everywhere else in this county under Diane's leadership. Yay! Finish by saying I'm very indebted to Paul Soden, who has worked like a Trojan. I don't know if you're allowed to say that in these politically correct times, but Paul has worked like a Trojan, and his team here, all of his team, have worked so very hard to produce a wonderful European Epicurean extravaganza. So thank you very much indeed. And the other person without whom this event would not be happening is Alec Tritton, who's chairman of the Forest of Dean UKIP, who's over there, who is a whiz on the PayPal and getting everything sorted. So it's been not a Gloucester event, it's a Gloucestershire and a South West event, and everybody's worked very together, cooperated for the future of UKIP in our county and in our country. Thank you very much, Diane James.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for such a warm welcome. I couldn't have asked for more. We might even get a microphone working in a moment, and then I won't have to try and project my voice. When I arrived in this part of the world yesterday, it was chucking it down with rain, absolutely chucking it down. I drove to Torquay. I did one of my Meet Diane for Leader meetings. We had just short of 40 people there, even on a rainy Saturday night in Torquay. And I stood there for 2 hours and I took questions, really tough questions I might add, from members who were faced with the most critical decision that they will probably ever face in the history of UKIP. Who steps into that position that Nigel has held for so long, who epitomises what UKIP is all about, who really is the recognisable face of UKIP for the media, for the voters, for the political opposition, and now increasingly for the international audience in terms of who are interested in UK politics. But anyway, that was a really, really successful event. I then drove back here during the rain, and luckily the rain has held off today. Paul, I cannot believe what a fabulous event you put on, wherever he is. Food has been absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, guys.
Seriously superb. Normally a meat eater, but Paul persuaded me to try his lamb. My goodness, is it good. And as some of you have seen, I've got my 2 dogs with me here today. I've asked for a doggy bag, but they're not going to get anywhere near it. It's going to be for me. But, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, a very, very serious question, a very serious choice facing you if you haven't already looked at your ballot paper. You've seen the calibre, I'm sure, of the other candidates. They also had a hustings nearby. And you've now had the opportunity to see me. And if you've been looking at some of the material that my team have posted on the website, put it out on social media, I hope you've got a good idea of what I stand for and what I would bring to the leadership. But let me clarify a few points, because some people even today have asked me some questions. One of the first questions, would I drop UKIP as the name? Would I take the I out of UKIP? Well, until the ink is dry on that document that takes the United Kingdom out of the European Union, we are not independent. So UKIP stays, and the two ladies, I know Edith has got one on, a beautiful mauve and yellow rosette. I've just spotted another one. All of the time, we are still members of the European Union.
Thanks, mate.
UKIP stays, and the mauve and the yellow colours stay, and the sterling stays. Let's move on to another question I was asked today. You haven't nominated a deputy. You haven't nominated a running mate. No, I haven't. What I've announced is I want 2 chiefs of staff. I want 2 individuals of a very high calibre, drawn potentially from the MEPs, who will support me in the leadership role. One charged with winning the voters in the north from the Labour Party, and the other one who will develop the strategy for taking voters from the Tory and in the south and southwest. I've discounted the Lib Dems for the usual reasons. I hope you don't mind. So there's just 2 issues that I've already addressed, and now you've all heard the answers. But the third one was, Diane, you've talked a lot about change. Are you just trying to change for change's sake? Are you changing because it's the flavour of the month? Are you changing because you can't think of anything better to do with the party? That's what I've been asked today. I believe in the mantra, you don't fix it unless it is broke. But I hope all of you will agree that there are certain aspects within UKIP that are broke. I and any leader should not move forward, should not try and develop the winning proposition that UKIP will represent, using systems, a constitution, and a governing body that was developed over 20 years ago. You don't buy technology, you don't buy products that are outdated, you don't try and run organisations that don't have the best processes in place, and you certainly don't try and run organisations with the latest expertise and experience. And what I have set out in terms of my 100-day initial action plan is to abandon the current NEC, to bring forward a new governing body, one that actually deals with the critical decisions that face this party and doesn't get tied up with minutiae, and is composed of the experience and expertise that will make UKIP a winning proposition. No more seconds, a winning proposition. But you can't install a new governing body if you don't give it effectively a Bible to work with. And I don't want to offend anybody by using that phrase. But the current Bible we have, the current constitution, is another aspect that is out of date, doesn't address what we need, and is holding back the progress this party should have. So hence, every branch chairman here, every county chairman here, if you have a regional chairman here, from this region or from anywhere else in the country, I implore you, absolutely implore you, to hold those EGMs, to give the new leader the remit and the power to install a new constitution and a new governing body, and to really make UKIP a political force in the future, not held back by the politics of the past. You have got, as I've said, a critical decision to make. I'm going to leave you with one, if you like, image that I would ask you to think about and consider as your pen's hovering over that ballot paper. At the next general election, which may well be next year, I want to make UKIP the opposition in waiting, and hopefully, once the results are announced, actually the opposition. That would happen, I believe, under my leadership. But even if it doesn't, just put yourself in the position, who of all of the candidates you've seen, you've reviewed, you've looked at in any way or form, ask yourself this question. Which of those do you imagine standing up opposite the Prime Minister, challenging the Prime Minister with a question, and getting the applause from the opposition benches because we've scored a hit on government policy? That's what I want to leave you with, ladies and gentlemen. I believe I can take on that role. I believe I want that role. I wouldn't have entered into this without having a very, shall we say, tough hide, which I have to say is getting tougher by the moment. And may I just finish by saying a thank you again. And I will say, end with just one personal note. The smear campaign launched last week was incredibly distressing both to myself, my family, my former husband, to my friends, and to a lot of people who all know that it was effectively, completely and utterly untrue. But ladies, I can assure you one thing, every single gentleman here today is as safe as houses. Thank you very much.
Screen coming now, and we thanked everybody else. We'd like to thank you because we know people have come from Exeter, they've come from Wales, they've come from the Midlands, and have come from every part of Gloucestershire. Thank you all very much for coming. I think we've got a leader candidate we can be very, very proud of. Up to you who you vote for. I'm voting for Diane, and I hope all of you will do so, as many of you as possible. Just to say, of course, this gentleman, you all know Paul, the owner of this property and several other establishments around this city.
Thank you. What I'd like to say is that Brexit is Brexit. Okay, that's it. So the battle is over, but not the war. We all got it. Now, when Stephen Wolf made this application, if Diane hadn't put hers in, I wouldn't be with UKIP. I mean it. So, Diane, you are the future of the party. No one else can follow Nigel.
Definitely.
Right. And Brexit's Brexit. I was in fear for a moment. I'd like to thank you for coming, and Stephen Wolf for not being here. But really importantly, what I want to do is do a quick thanks to the people who've helped me put this together. Diane and Fee, wherever they are. Danny and Fee, somewhere. Thank you very much indeed. To the Rhino, wherever he is, somewhere around, somewhere, it doesn't matter. And to the people who helped, whose names I can't remember. And to Richard and Alec, who actually arranged all of this properly and professionally to get people here, and tickets and things, it doesn't matter, it's been amazing.
Well done.
To John, he has not stopped. This man sleeps less than I do. To the chefs, I know they're hidden, but Jock and Lee, Shane, you're not a chef, but you're the setup man. Jock and Lee, and to you, Shane, for all the setup and your Caribbean barbecues. And the point of today was peri-peri chickens, Portuguese, breakfast sausage, German. You're getting it? Greek lamb. And then we had some burgers from England and English lamb. The idea is we're European. We're not anti-European. We want to work with them, trade with them, but we are not going to be a Euro country. End of story. And the war isn't over. And lastly, I want to thank Helen, wherever she is. Where's Helen? There. Because when I called her on Thursday and said I'm in trouble, you have bailed me out of a whole lot of trouble. What started as a barbecue for 30, 40 people to say we've got out of Europe or we've worked hard has become amazing, amazing, amazing day to see all of us here. I am so delighted with all of you. It's incredible. 23 years I've been involved in the UKIP campaign, since Professor Sked at University London LSE, right the way through. Our actual duty is not over yet. We all know that. It's not over yet. When we trigger article, whatever we do, we then have to watch it all. That's our actual duty, to watch it all. And only Diane, in my opinion, can do that. And I'm not just bigging you up, but really, only you can do it. So now we have to literally get to work, all of us. And the last thing I want to say is the melting ice creams are now ready.